Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this morning. Got a big show lineup as always, but first our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin Highway 77. High today, 88. Low 76. We're in that pattern of summer thunderstorms, sort of just unsettled as typical in July. So just be aware when you hear thunder in the distance, that means something's out there. So just be careful and all. I know we checked the radar. I'm going to tell you a story later about how it sort of canceled my trip out on Saturday morning because I just heard thunder rumbling and all and looked on radar and it was close enough to my area I was going fishing. We just called it off regrettably. But anyway, just be aware of it. Err on the side of caution. Water temperature is 85.5, very warm out there. Take a look at our river readings brought to us by Sandhill Seafood up on Highway 77. Really good fresh seafood up there. Apalachicola Bluntstown right at 7 foot. And I looked at it last night at the reading. I sort of laughing because Apalachicola Bluntstown, I just flat all the way across. I guess it's got the same summer doldrums we all have. Just don't want to do anything, just sort of lay there, don't want to get up and do anything. But it's flat all the way across. And it looks like the next couple of days, not much happening on Apalachicola. Now, but on the other hand, the Choctahatchee at Caryville, we've had that rain. It's on rising a little bit this morning. It's 7.3. It's going to peak on out probably Wednesday or Thursday, it looks like, around 8 foot. So it had a little bit of movement there on the Choctahatchee. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. High tide is at 10:49 this morning. A low tide tonight at 9:22. You got a good incoming tide all morning, almost up to about 11 o'clock, so really good movement there. And our marine forecast will be south-southwest at about 5 to 10. Let's take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Let's try to get caught up on some of these pictures you folks have been sending in. Really appreciate you sending them. Gives us an idea of what's going on here in Florida Panhandle. Lots going on for July. Take this first one right here. Hey, Coach, my son and his family and friends and I went for a half-day trip and we caught a pile. It was great fun. Ned Maxwell, that's fishing out of Harbor Walk over there in Destin. A good picture there, and that was a good family outing. I know those kids are going to keep those memories right there. Excellent. Okay, our next picture. This is a little clinic coming up over here, July 13th, which is 2 days from now, at the Churchill Oaks Club. A guy I know is going to be putting it on. It's the Florida Boys Inshore Fishing Seminar, and it's going to be over here. Hunter Ray is going to be doing redfish, trout, and flounder. Okay, it's going to be at the Churchill Oaks Clubhouse. And I just had a memory from 5 years ago pop up on my Facebook. 5 years ago today, look what I was doing. I was getting scallops. And I don't know, I know we ate them, but I don't remember the exact spot I got. I guarantee it was around Black's Island. Okay, so I'm going back. Here's a good story. Old Brad Stevens, my neighbor, look at here. This pelican had I'm going to read you the whole story. He had a hook, what happened, these pelicans, had a treble in his mouth and a J hook deeply embedded in his wing. A 4-foot leader had become wrapped around his wing and his legs. So old Brad Stevens, he were able to cut the hooks and remove them, and he got the line off of them, so he rehabbed that pelican and he waddled back down to the bay. Good job, Brad Stevens. And you can do that, just be careful. Tim Sutherland and Scott Wynn. Tim got a new boat. Check out those two big red snappers on his first trip in a new boat. Good job, Tim Sutherland. Bob Bilsma. We went out 50 miles, took Greg 50 miles offshore. He did good. That was a good trip right there. I know that was fun. We post pictures, and I don't remember posting one from this area in a long time. This is on the Buchanan Bridge out in West Bay, right there on Highway 79, looking west. And Sonny Buchanan took this picture. That's why it's fascinating. It's his family. The Buchanan Bridge is named after the Buchanans, or some of the original families in West Bay. And I'm sure Sonny was reminiscing and taking that beautiful picture. Good job, Sonny. Jennifer Barnett, one of the former Outdoor Ed Club presidents, with her sister Brandy Lowry and her husband Richard Lowry. And she said, this is a great Sunday spent on the water, the largest red snapper I've ever caught. And that is a nice one right there. Good job, Jennifer. Well, this caught me. I just like this. Why I fish. The fish don't care if I'm rich or poor or how big my house is. The fish don't criticize or ask too many questions. They don't care if my jokes aren't funny or if my clothes don't match. The fish challenge me, relax me, captivate me, comfort me. The fish help me connect with nature and remind me of what's important. They help me slow down and appreciate time with friends and family. The fish make me a better person. The fish make me happy. And I think that sums up how a lot of us feel about fishing. It's just something special about it. Okay? Now, the Gulf Coast Sportsman Series, this is coming up soon. This is going to be July the 18th, actually 1 week from tonight. Michael and Mark Cowart will be putting this on. It's going to be a legendary Marine RSVP. Please, number in the lower right-hand corner right there. They're going to be giving away over $2,000 worth of stuff at that clinic there. It'll be right off Thomas Drive, right past the Captain Anderson Restaurant, Redfish and Trout Tournament. Okay, so they're doing an excellent job on the clinics they have. Let's see. Let's move on. Let's see. I got some pictures right here. Let me see. First trip out in the Gulf this year. Went out Friday. Great weather. Great trip. Had a 14-pound grouper and 12-pound snapper, the largest. Got a series of pictures here. Okay. Steve sent these pictures in. Really good pictures there. Good job, Steve. Okay, that's enough of the pictures. That's one thing I wanted to mention. I was thinking last night, it's midsummer, here it is July, but we do a lot of water stuff, but a lot of things going on in the woods now that we're not really aware of that just goes on every year. We just sort of take it for granted. What did animals do in the summertime? And I was said, well, we look at deer, turkey, and bear. Bear's easy to figure out in the summertime. They're going to do three things. They're going to eat, roam, and sleep. Okay, they're going to eat a while, walk around a while, and then sleep. And same pattern, but they eat a lot. Deer, on the other hand, I was looking at some deer info last night, and we pretty well know what deer is going to do. Let's see, I've got all kind of pictures here, mainly, and you can just see all kind of pictures here. The deer in the summertime, they're going to eat a lot more. We know that. And they're going to eat greens and all, but the male is going to what the male does now, the male sort of gets more solid, has more solitary time in the summertime. Now in the fall they sort of group up with some other bucks, but now in the summertime biologists find out they sort of go out on their own. On the other hand, on the female is still sort of taking care of the does and the female taking care of the fawn, and they're sort of teaching them how to survive in the wilderness, and they're keeping them close by, teaching them how, places to eat, and they're communicating with them now. They have a lot of communication going on, but they're eating a whole lot of food in the summertime. Both the bucks and the does and the fawns are eating a whole lot of food. So I wrote some other things I talked about. But that's basically it on deer. That's what's going on. They're just eating a lot, and they're staying cool. They're staying cool. They're staying in low areas around water if they can. And the mosquitoes give them a fit and all, but the skin is tough enough, but the dog flies and all kind of yellow flies and all can sometimes be a problem according to biologists. Now, on the other hand, let's go to the turkeys. The turkeys are fascinating. They do a lot of things in the summer. First of all, a turkey can roam about a couple of miles a day, walking just a couple of miles a day, 1 or 2 miles a day, and they'll cover around 300-acre areas sort of there. If it's a large area, they'll stay within 300 acres according to the National Wild Turkey Federation for the most part. But looking at these pictures here, one of the things they'll do a lot of, they'll eat, and they say the young folks and all, 80% of their day they're spending time eating. 80% of the time they're eat. When they're young, they don't eat quite that much as they get grown and their bodies are filled out. But when they're young, they eat 80% of the day they'll be eating. And also on the deer now, the deer's going to eat that fresh green, they're going to eat those gallberries, they're going to eat that fresh growth, and a lot of stuff out there in the summertime for them to eat. And on the other hand, now the turkeys, they're going to do a couple of things. Looking at some of these, one thing they're going to do, they're going to eat, they're going to walk, and they're going to talk. The game biologists have figured out they have 28 distinctive calls. They can use 28 different, in their communication, there's 28 different calls they can use. And that's fascinating. So they'll do that all day long. They'll be talking back and forth. And also, they'll be dusting themselves. They'll dust and preen and sun. Now, the reason they get down in dust, and you've seen them, they just flap around in dust and just they look like a kid rolling around in mud or something. They'll get in that dust. The reason they get in that dust and all is so their feathers won't get all oily and matted up. It keeps the feathers dry so they won't sort of clump together. And there's a purpose in doing that. That's when they get up there and they shake off really good and then preen and open up and all. That's the habits of going back to survival and all, because those feathers have to be really strong. Then the last thing they're going to do at the end of the day, they're going to roost. Now that first month now, the young ones can't really get up there and roost, but they're taught to roost as soon as they can. Of course, that's to protect them from predators. And what's going on now, the young ones are old enough now, they're roosting and talking back and forth. So a lot of things going on in the woods as we're here fishing and all, a lot of things going on in nature that a lot of times we're not aware of. But those animals are taking care of themselves, and mainly they are eating and resting and eating and trying to stay cool, sort of like we are. Let's take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Let's get into an outdoor tip of the day for all of you out there, because this is really good, especially if you don't want to lose your anchor. And retired Lieutenant Colonel Reed Smith from Niceville sent this in. Let's look at the picture first. We're talking about an anchor. I'm going to show you the picture first, and I'm going to show you how he did it. Okay, see this cable he's attached to his anchor right up in here. And now I'm going to read his email. Okay, he said, "Coach, a boating tip provided in Florida Sportsman magazine a few years back saved me more than $200. Years ago, I got my boat anchor stuck in a reef and had to cut away the line and head back to the marina without an anchor. We've done that, the same thing. It was very irritating to have to replace my anchor, and in talking to people, it was just one of those shoulder shrugs. Hey, it happens. A couple years back, I read a tip published in Florida Sportsman about rigging your Danforth-style boat anchor with a cable attached to the hinge point of the anchor fluke and breakaway at the standard attachment point. If you get your anchor stuck on the bottom, you can give it a good yank and then pull it up from the forward hinge point. Okay, that's important. This really does work, and I've now saved my anchor, load chain, and line more than $200. I've attached a picture to show how I rigged mine. I'm a lifelong Florida resident, boater, and fisherman, and this anchor tip proves once again the key to knowing is to always keep learning. Amen. I thought it might be worth sharing with your many viewers. Thank you, and keep up your great work and continue to educate us on Panhandle Outdoors." So let's go to this picture again. And you see what it did? It attached that cable there, okay? A neat idea. Then it goes, okay, then it goes all the way, and you can, what it happened, it'll flip like that. That's a good idea. You can pull it from that end. That's neat. Thank you, Reed, for that, for sending that to us. Okay, I also wanted to point out this little story here. We got St. Vincent Island. You know how much I enjoy St. Vincent Island, and just really special place. And I was always sort of check on the hunts and all now, so it's just a primitive weapon hunt that I'm interested in. But I ran across this story by Tony Young, and check out this picture right here. This is a local guy, okay? And it's a neat story, and I did not know this. We got to get this guy on the show, okay? That's Woody Eubanks. He's a 38-year Bay County veteran fireman, and he talks about, I won't read the whole thing, for the past 27 years he's taken part in one of the 2 whitetail hunts. Now, he's 38 years old, and for 27 years he's been going to St. Vincent Island on a whitetail hunt, one of the 2 hunts. So I guess he started when he was 11 years old. So Woody Eubanks, and he's a fireman here. But anyway, the article goes on, and go ahead and put this on your calendar. The first hunt is going to be November the 16th through 18th, and it's archery only. And now listen, when they do archery hunt on that, it's archery vertical, what they call now, vertical bows. In other words, no crossbows. So keep that in mind, no crossbows it can be used. Now the second hunt, and that's the hunt I usually go on, is in January 25th to 27th. That's really good, first of all, because it's cooler, and the bugs aren't as bad. That place has amazing numbers of bugs. There are 250 permits available for each of the 2 hunts, and cost $27.50. Okay, but it goes on to talk about Eubanks. Here's this quote from Eubanks. And he said, a big group of us firemen started off doing these hunts together, and over the years, a lot of them have dropped off for various reasons. One of the big reasons would be the bugs. And it's primitive camping. You got to take your tent there. You got to camp on it. I mean, it goes with not the comforts of home, and yet at the same time, that's what makes it so appealing to hardcore outdoorsmen, and I just love it. And this, he said his buddy Randy Rowell, he's been hunting here with me for all 27 years. So Randy and Woody, y'all have an open invitation to come on Panhandle Outdoors and bring some pictures and talk about your hunts on St. Vincent Island. I admire you for going for 27 years in a row. And I brought my son when he was 8 years old. He loved it even then, and we made it an annual father-son pilgrimage now for 19 years, and I don't plan to stop. So this is really good. So anyway, there's a picture right there of he and his son. Excellent. I love stories like that. And again, I want to, on St. Vincent Island, the thing about it, it's 12,640 acres, and it's all primitive, and you're going to do walking. Now they'll come along in the late afternoon at dark and pick up. You can drag your deer out, and they can pick it up and put it on a buggy. But what we've gotten into, the year before last, Walter and I went, and you just take a bicycle with big tires and all, and just ride to your spot. You don't have to walk all that far, but it's fun just riding a bicycle. You need a little cart behind you and all, and just rigging things up and doing it. And it's not for everybody, but it is a special place, and it's right here in our backyard. And when I first, in the early 70s, I first went over there, I just fell in love with it. And there's all kind of neat stuff out there, and it's all natural. So anyway, I can go on and on about what's going on in St. Vincent Island, but they still have 2 hunts a year, one archery and one primitive weapons, and it's really special. So keep that in mind. I'll talk more about it, but those are the 2 dates of that. Okay, let's take a break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us this morning. I was sitting here thinking in the break right here. I hope you enjoy this show, watching this show as much as I enjoy doing it. If you do, then we're both happy people, because I really enjoy bringing it to you. And I'm just looking at the notes here. There's so much information. Just look at today's show with the pictures here. You're talking about St. Vincent Island. I'm going to talk about tarpon fishing, and so much goes on just here in the Florida Panhandle. And that's why we can do an outdoor show every morning and just bring you all kind of neat things and I don't think there's anywhere, we talked about this before, anywhere else in the country it's hard to do to get a saltwater, freshwater, hunting, and all kind of fishing and all the things we do here in the Panhandle. We live in paradise. I know a lot of times that's meant for the tourists and all, but really for us locals and all, we really do. So I'm just proud to bring you the show and appreciate you watching. Now let's look at fishing game times today, and I believe in these too. Brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers. And we're looking at 227 and 427. We just passed that. This afternoon, 251 to 451. The thing you have to watch for in the afternoon now, of course, again, will be the thunderstorms. They just pop up. And like I said, Saturday morning, Wendy and Mason and them were here, and Ashley. So I was going to take Mason and Ashley fishing because she was going to head back to Tennessee around 8 o'clock. I said, honey, if it's okay with you, I'll take them out for a couple of hours. We can fish 2 hours and be back to the house at 7:30, and you can hit the road. So I got up at 4:30 Saturday morning, and first thing I heard thunder in the distance, and like I said earlier, I go to the radar and look it up, and there's a storm out toward the West Bay, a pretty heavy storm, and I was going to head over that area west of the house, and I sat around for about 30 minutes watching the storm, and finally it dissipated, but and it sprinkled some in the house, and by then, with that time frame, I normally would have just taken it off anyway, but I just don't like to take a chance on weather. I really don't. So we literally took a rain check, and of course they were a little sleepy and groggy anyway from all kinds of things they've been doing. So, but if you're going to go early like that. Now I want to talk quickly. I'm not going to have time to finish because I've been talking so much. Tarpon fishing has always fascinated me too, and the history of tarpon fishing is even more fascinating than actually catching the fish itself. And I get tickled every time when a group of people come in here in this area they're from out of town or something, and say, hey, y'all got tarpon out there. Did you know that? And now they're even getting drones now flying over them. Hey, I told you there were drones out there. Duh. If you pick up full box and look on page 58, I mean, I got story after story of tarpon fishing. Here's the story on tarpon fishing 100 years ago, 1920s and 1917 and all. They were fishing for tarpon. Captain Otway Ware, Captain Lee Porter. Look at this picture right here. This is one of the top guides. He was ace guide. Check this out. This is in the book and all. Lee Porter, Lynn Haven. This was 1928, 175-pound tarpon. They were catching tarpon right and left. There were people coming. There was a sports club in St. Andrew. I'm sorry, it's called the St. Andrew Sportsman Club. It was in Lynn Haven, and I know where the house is now, where that club was. It's just a group of sportsmen who actually come down just to fish, and they'll be coming. The wealthy guys from Birmingham and Montgomery and Atlanta would come down here, and they wanted to sport fish. They didn't care about catching Spanish mackerel or grouper or snapper. They just wanted to sport fish, and the tarpon was a sport fish. And the story, as I started doing the research, and I feel like I'm an expert in it simply because I just dug and dug and dug and found so much really interesting information. And it went on to the 20s and 30s, and then of course World War II broke out, and then in the 50s it started coming back strong. In the 50s, there was Captain Wallace Caswell, and he was really good in the 50s on catching them, and Lee Porter and Otway Ware. That's the three top guys, and they would go out a lot of times they'd go out of St. Andrews, but a lot of times they'd go out of Lynn Haven and go up toward the North Bay where the Deer Point Dam is now, and catch them, and they would catch all kinds. Here's another picture right here. Here's a lady that just talks about tarpon fishing. I'm gonna go into more details tomorrow and finish it up, but these what they would do, they would no kidding, they would actually send them back to Birmingham. They would catch them literally and put them package them up in ice and send them back to Birmingham to be mounted. And that'd be neat to find some of those mounts from 100 years ago if there are any of them left. But that's a fascinating story. But here's what happened. I'm going to just do part one of the story. I'll finish part two tomorrow. Basically what happened in the early 60s, this captain went out and all of a sudden he found some billfish in the area, some marlin. And when he did that, then that's what happened. The sport then was catching them. But now I'm going to give you part two of this tomorrow because it's fascinating on the blue marlin, how it became the fish to catch starting in the early 60s. So it replaced the tarpon. It's good news for tarpon, bad news for the marlin. So really fascinating history, and I'd just like to share that with you. So we're going to wrap things up. Thank you all for watching the show. You have a great day today. Always do something good for your fellow man. Enjoy today, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.